our guest today, our special esteemed guest today, is Dr. George C. Fraser. He has written 6 best-selling books, including Success Runs in Our Race, Click, and most recently, Mission Unstoppable. Mission Unstoppable, Extraordinary Stories of Failures, Blessings, a book he co-authored with Les Brown. And I deliberately have not brought up the visual for this. I would like, to encourage you to spend the time to put in, just a couple of minutes, to research and have a look at the book, the work that our brother has done, and at best, purchase and invest in one of these books at least. So Upscale magazine named him one of the top power brokers in Black America, one of the top power brokers in Black America, which is that's no feeble title, right? It's not power broker. You're a broker in power, no feeble title at all. And Black Enterprise magazine called him Black America's #1 networker and featured him on its cover. Again, look it up, I have. Dr. Fraser is chairman and CEO of FraserNet Incorporated, a company he founded 32 years ago to lead a global networking and economic development movement for people of African descent. Dr. Fraser was born in Brooklyn, New York, and has risen from much adversity. He spent 20 years in leadership positions in Procter & Gamble, United Way, and Ford Motor Company before starting his own business, FraserNet Incorporated, in 1987. Dr. Fraser has been featured on 7 national magazine covers. He has received over 350 awards and citations, to include induction into the Minority Business Hall of Fame and Museum, 3 honorary doctorate degrees, a chaplaincy and ambassadorship. He is a certified financial education instructor and has an insurance license. Dr. Fraser has been named as one of the best speakers in America, and 5 of his speeches have been selected for global distribution by the prestigious Vital Speeches of the Day magazine. A first for any professional speaker in America, for any. I'm not talking of color, for any professional speaker in America. And it's not 1, it's 5 of his speeches. In 2016, President Obama awarded Dr. Fraser the President's Lifetime Achievement Award. Dr. Fraser is most proud of the 2 charter schools he helped found in Cleveland, Ohio, nearly 15 years ago, which educate nearly 300 inner city Black children, of which 60% are boys. As an elder, Dr. Fraser will now use his massive network and influence to launch a new virtual nation with no borders, boundaries, or barriers, called Fraser Nation, citizens of generational wealth. The goal is to mobilize and unify people of African descent around effective networking, business development, training, and coaching. Aren't you glad you're here tonight? He will also join the fight for financial literacy in Black America. His organization has already launched the WINS Wealth Building Centers and Curriculum. Over the next decade, thousands of new and well-equipped faith-based WINS centers will be open free of charge to all those who want to teach and learn the basics of wealth creation and management. And over 1 million Black people and allies will be citizens of Fraser Nation. He's been married to Nora Jean for 46 years and has 2 sons and 3 grandchildren. So all of that, and still somebody's husband, still somebody's father, and still somebody's grandpa or granddad. So we have a short video to play before we move further into our program. It's not too late to invite people on. Register for them, send them the link, and get them on this line. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All I can say is wonderful. And a very warm, warm welcome to you, Dr. Fraser. So Spiritual Injection, we've been honored and blessed to have Dr. Fraser with us this evening. So please, Spiritual Injection, those of you on the line, take your devices off of mute and show love, respect, and honor for our special guest, Dr. Fraser.
Welcome, Dr. Fraser.
Wonderful to have you on the platform this evening.
Greetings, brother. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for this moment. Thank you for reaching out across the ocean, Mr. Muhammad, and connecting us. This is obviously God's will. This is supposed to happen. It was just waited to happen to this at this moment in time, because everything happens in its proper time. And so I'm honored to be received by your audience. I'm honored by the way you introduced me. I deeply appreciate that. At 77 years old, I'm now going through my 8th passage in life. Each passage is about 10 years. Why is that? Because you're a different person at 10 than you were at 1. You're a different person at 20 than you were at 10. Let us pray. You're a different person at 30 than 20, 40 than 30, 50 than 40, 60 than 50, 70 than 60, 80 than 70. We're constantly evolving. So I'm in my 8th passage. In fact, I'm closer to completing my 8th passage than I am my 7th at 77 years old. God has been good to me, and she and he have given me the energy and the understanding and wisdom to teach, which is really the moral and spiritual responsibility of all of us.
Yes, sir.
And that is to teach what you have learned. Teach what you have learned. It is not just for you. It is for our world. When you have a philosophy of teaching all that you have learned, it puts you into a giving mindset. And that's what life is about. It is part of the purpose of life. And the purpose of life is not complicated.
Yes, sir.
We make life complicated.
Yes.
God doesn't make things complicated. He makes them very simple so that everybody could understand them. We tend to make things complicated for a couple of reasons. A, so we don't have to do something. The more complicated we make something, the more reasons we have for not doing it. Another reason we tend to complicate things is to control power.
Yeah.
The more I know and the less you know, theoretically speaking, the more power I have over you.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to uncomplicate the purpose of life so that you will never, the 82 brothers and sisters who are joining us right now, who they will never be able to unhear this. They will never be able to say that they do not know why God put them here. It's very simple.
Yes,
the purpose of life is to love, to give, to serve, and to add the highest value to somebody or something every minute of every day.
Yes, sir.
This is why I so love what you're doing. And that you went the extra step. How you picked me out and identified me, I'm sure happened over a period of time. Perhaps through some experience with me through videos or word of mouth or whatever. But as I said, this was the right moment and right time. In fact, I wrote a whole book on this actual thought. The book is called Click.
Yes.
10 Truths for Building Extraordinary Relationships, Mr. Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
And in the book, I posit my theory that you don't click with everybody that you network with. You click when three things are in perfect alignment: chemistry,
Yes.
fit, and timing.
Yes.
We could have good timing, good fit, bad chemistry, wouldn't click. We could have good chemistry, good fit, bad timing, we won't click. When those three things are in perfect alignment, that's when we click.
Yes, sir.
So this is a timing thing. Certainly there's a wonderful fit and certainly there's good chemistry. It was just timing that was out of line. But the timing is right now. And I deeply appreciate that. For those who are deeply listening and want to take a couple of notes, I've turned click into a formula. It's an algebraic formula, very simple formula. Write this down. C times F times the square root of T equals W to the third power. So that's C squared,
Yes, sir.
small little 2, times F. You use times instead of plus and minuses in algebra because that determines or requires that all factors be present in order to reach the final conclusion to the equation. So C squared times F times the square root of T. Whenever you put a square root on something, you reduce the power of that factor. When you square something like chemistry, and F is for fit and T is for timing, you decrease the power.
Yes, sir.
So that together equals W to the third power. What is W to the third power? You win, I win, and the people that we both serve win. It is a win, win, win. That's what we're looking for when we establish and build relationships.
Yes, sir.
So that's a little micro lecture on click. Let me quote to you the North Star of my life. It is a talk I heard live when I was a kid in New York by Stokely Carmichael, one of the allies of Dr. King. And Stokely Carmichael was a stone cold revolutionary. But he said something one day in 1962, I happened to be present, that stuck with me for the rest of my life and absolutely became the guiding light of my life. I'm going to quote it to you exactly as he said it. I'm not going to paraphrase it. Stokely Carmichael said that no Black person in this country makes an advancement solely based on his or her talent or worth. All individual advancement is based on mass struggle. We make no progress in this world without shedding our blood. Therefore, your advancement and success does not belong to you, it belongs to the people. And if you do not use your success or advancement for the benefit of your people, it is a betrayal of the people who shed their blood for you. Now, I didn't realize how profound that was when I was a 17-year-old kid.
Yes, sir.
But he planted seeds.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully today I'll be planting some seeds. Hopefully that's a seed for you.
Absolutely.
That we have a moral and spiritual obligation to use the gifts and knowledge that God has allowed us to accumulate in the upliftment of our people. Therefore, I am a race man. And a race man or race woman is someone who's committed their time, talent, and treasure into the investment and upliftment of his or her own people first. I didn't say only.
Right.
I said first.
Yes, sir.
It is with that kind of moral and philosophical foundation that will help us to unify, to help us love each other, to help us to understand how magnificent, how powerful, and how beautiful we are as a people. Unfortunately, too many of us are out of our natural minds. We actually do not know who we really are.
Yes, sir.
We are the children of the slaves that would not die.
Yes, sir.
And we have the genetic encoding of the great kings and queens of Africa.
Yes, sir.
That we were building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems when other cultures were living in caves practicing cannibalism.
Yes, sir.
And if everything happens for a reason and serves us in some special way, and we will never understand that reason looking forward, we will only understand it looking backwards, if in fact that is the truth, and I believe it is the truth. Maybe we were not brought here in America. Maybe we were not brought to Europe. Maybe we were sent to Europe. Maybe we were sent to America. Do you believe that a people who could morally, spiritually, and biblically justify the kidnapping, raping, and pillaging of another two people, at least here in America, natives already in America and Africans brought to America, have any moral or spiritual grounding? And perhaps had God not sent Africans throughout the diaspora, and certainly in America, America might have self-destructed by now.
Yes, sir.
We are an awesome and powerful people if we only understood it. If we only understood our own history. People ask me all the time, I've been to the continent, Africa, 31 times. And they say, Dr. Fraser, if I was only to go once or twice, maybe 3 times in my lifetime, what places would you recommend? The simple answer. First is travel to Egypt. And now let's remember that Egypt is in Africa. It is not in the Mediterranean.
That's right.
So the history of Egypt is African history.
Right.
When you walk through the tombs in the Valley of the Kings or the Great Pyramids and look on the wall and you see the paintings and you read the hieroglyphics with interpreters, you will see that we are in all shades of black, from blue black to my color. So black is not necessarily, or race is not necessarily a color, it's a culture.
Yes.
We are awesome and powerful people. So my first is get an understanding of, from ancient history, who you really are.
Yes.
We know our modern history in the last 400 years. We have a Black History Month here. We know that history fairly well, but we don't know our ancient history.
Yes.
Thousands of years ago. And we know that Egyptians were building pyramids, but we never attribute that to an African people. The second place I would recommend my brothers and sisters visit, not right now, Ethiopia. Ethiopia is considered the Vatican of Africa, the holiest city of Africa. Why, Dr. Fraser? Because that is where humanity was born. The first human remains were found in the Olduvai Gorge 75,000 years ago in Ethiopia. And if you're hanging out in Ethiopia, if you've ever been to Ethiopia, Ethiopians are blue-black. So the first people God made, the Spirit made, was a Black people.
Yes, sir.
You say, well, why is that? Why were we the first? There are a number of reasons, but one simple reason to digest is from Black can come all colors.
Yes.
Two white people cannot make a Black person. I am sorry.
Me too.
Right? Right? So from Black comes every color on earth. And as we migrated around the world and planted seeds, the different colors came into being. So we must understand we are powerful, and how powerful we are. Visit Ethiopia. This is where the Ark of the Covenant is. This is where we were born. This is where humanity was born. And all of humanity, Mr. Muhammad,
Yes, sir.
has our seeds.
Yes, sir.
I don't care what they say.
Yes, sir.
You look at the DNA of every person on earth, there is a seed, an African seed in all of us.
Yes, sir.
So that's number two. Number three, I want to bring some clarity on the differences of how we think.
Yes, sir.
We think differently than our white brothers and
Yes.
sisters. We have a different worldview. Their worldview, in many respects, explains their behavior. And our worldview and thinking explains our behavior. So let me just articulate that as simply as I can. What is the Eurocentric worldview? Now, I wrote about this, by the way. All of what I'm saying to you is in this particular book, Success Runs in Our Race, The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the Black Community. Okay, so you can get that on Amazon.
Yes, sir.
Eurocentric worldview. Order is imposed by the stronger force. The stronger force gains the advantage by ordering the universe as it wishes. That's a Eurocentric worldview, an African-centered worldview. The universe is alive and active, and the laws of nature reveal its inherent order, as well as the Creator's divine laws. Now, the gap between how they see the world and how we see the world is as large as the Grand Canyon. This is inherently how we feel. Now, thinking, how do we think and how do they think? Eurocentric thinking. Survival of the fittest promotes a drive for mastery and control of nature and the accumulation of possessions. That is Eurocentric thinking. African-centered thinking is simply, there is a oneness of all things. Life is primary and must reflect a divine nature. Group maintenance, collectiveness, and sharing are essential.
Yes, sir.
Do you see the gap between how they think and how we think?
Absolutely.
So it is as wide as the Grand Canyon. And W.E.B. Du Bois expressed this thinking many, many moons ago in a wonderful piece that he wrote about the duality in which we have to operate in this world. And it's really, I'm looking for it. I want to read it to you because it is, I think, one of the most beautiful pieces ever written.
Yes,
Du Bois was in the early 19th century, one of the great Black scholars in the world, not Black,
yes,
not necessarily Black scholars, but great scholars in the world. He happened to be Black. And he wrote a wonderful book. If you haven't read it, it's a classic. It's called The Souls of Black Folk. And in that book, he wrote this passage. He said, and I quote, "It is a particular sensation, this double consciousness, this sense of always looking at one's self through the eyes of others, of measuring one's soul by the tape of a world that looks on in amused contempt and pity. One feels a two-ness, an American, a Negro, two souls, two thoughts, two unreconciled strivings, two warring ideals in this beautiful dark body, whose dogged strength alone keeps us from being torn asunder. The history of the American Negro is the history of this strife, this longing to attain self-conscious manhood, to merge his double self into a better and truer self. So we're torn. We live in this world that is not really controlled by us.
yes.
We must find a way to navigate and to prosper and to grow and to thrive and to gain the power that we need for unity and for organization. So I just wanted to lay that out. I just wanted to sort of start this conversation with some philosophical feelings from myself. I think our audience need to know where I'm coming from. That's really all I'm saying here. I want to talk a little bit about leadership.
Yes, sir.
Because what you're demonstrating is leadership. The 103 people who are on this call at this moment. are demonstrating leadership. They have taken their time and they've parked themselves in front of a laptop or a cell phone to watch this. But I want to define leadership for my brothers and sisters and others and our allies who are watching. And I just want to make one thing clear. There's nothing, and I hope you don't misinterpret this, there's nothing I'm saying that speaks to hating anybody.
Right, exactly. Very clear.
This is not about hate.
Right.
We don't have to hate white people to love ourselves.
Exactly.
Right? It's not about hate. In fact, we aren't about hate. We are the most loving and
Absolutely.
forgiving people on the freaking planet.
That's right.
Are you kidding me? We have, in a sense, in many ways, have forgiven our white brothers and sisters for 350 years of barbaric behavior.
Absolutely.
We have forgiven them, and we live with them, and we try to live with them in peace. So this is not hate talk.
Right.
Right? This is facing our demons and resolving our own problems and understanding that there is, for us, there is no white savior for us. Right. No one is going to save us,
right,
but us.
Right.
Right? This is our responsibility. We understand the problems that have wounded us, but we must take responsibility for the healing.
Right.
No one is going to do that for us. They are not thinking about us in this way. They're thinking about them.
Right.
They're thinking about their husbands, their wives, their children, their neighborhoods, their schools, their businesses. That's what they're thinking about.
Right.
Right. So, and you can't blame them for that, because damn it, that's what we ought to be thinking about.
Right.
Our husbands, our wives, our children, our schools, the management of our wealth.
Yes, sir.
Right? Our businesses. That's what we ought to be focused on and thinking about. So I have, from my own perspective, redefined leadership for us.
Yes, sir.
It's just my opinion, my thoughts. I think when you are called to lead, you're called to serve. If we look at that from a macro perspective, you don't really build businesses or build communities. You build people.
Yes.
And they build businesses
yes.
and communities.
Yes, sir.
That requires leadership. So my definition of leadership is very simple. To be a leader is to be awake and alert and to be dissatisfied at all times.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we have come a long way, but we have much further to go.
Right.
Therefore, I am not happy, but I am motivated by a positive anger directed towards positive change.
Love it.
Leadership is influence. Who are we influencing? We're influencing our children, because if our children cannot see the future, they will not pay the price. Leadership is action. It is not some appointed position. No one has to appoint you to do right by your people, to do right by your family, to do right by your children. No one has to appoint you to that.
Right.
Right. Leaders understand that change is a system. Everything is a system. I say to brothers and sisters who have businesses, if you don't have a system, you don't have a business. I don't know what the hell you have, but it's not a business. Something that you can articulate, something that you can duplicate, replicate, and scale. That's a system. Even change is a system.
Right.
There are 5 steps in the system for change. First is words. This is biblical. And first there was the word.
Right.
Words.
Right.
And hopefully something you say or I say, or if you're speaking words to people, you will raise their consciousness. You will raise their awareness of this thing that you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
And if you're fortunate, one or two or three things that you're speaking that raises the consciousness about the subject matter of which you've chosen, a person will get excited about what you said. You will energize someone. You will inspire someone by something you said. That's the third step, right? First is words, second is consciousness, the third is passion, right? Passion. Then from passion, we take action. That's the fourth step. You don't take action from just words.
Right.
Right. There's something in you that it triggers, and then you get excited, and then you move.
Yes.
And then from action, the fourth step, comes change.
Yeah.
So system, right? There's a system for change, and leaders understand that, and they know how to do that. I don't believe in motivation. I believe in inspiration.
Yes, sir.
I don't think I have to excite you to act on something.
Yeah.
No one has to excite me to get up in the morning,
Yeah.
to act on my personal vision, my agenda, and my work. No one has, right? I'm up.
Yes.
I'm ready to go, right? My job is to collapse in bed every night, totally exhausted and spent, having used everything I had that day
Yes,
to
sir.
do the work that God has assigned me.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, I do believe in inspiration, to inspire you, to to lift you up so that you feel the energy necessary to complete and or to stick with and stay the course, the work that you must do. And we need inspiration. We all need inspiration. We're inspired by our wives. We're inspired by our friends. We are inspired by those who love us, right? Let me say that a different way. Every single thing we do is so that somebody will love us.
Yes.
Think about that. The clothes we wear, the successes that we attain, the cars we drive, is so that someone will love us because we have an insatiable appetite to be loved. This is how God has designed us. This is why, where do we get that love from? We get it from other people.
Yes.
So leaders understand these things. I think Black leaders are uniquely equipped spiritually to process this in ways that serve our people and to act on it. We are the most morally grounded, spiritually rooted, loving people on earth.
Yes, sir.
We are.
Absolutely.
I cannot think of any example in our modern and ancient history where we have acted in a barbaric way. Dr. Ivan Van Sertima wrote the book They Came Before Columbus.
Yes, sir.
We were exploring the world. Yes, we were all over the world, planting seeds. What we did not do is what too many Europeans did. We did not go someplace, rape, steal, and pillage.
Right.
We did not take anybody's stuff
Yeah.
and said it belongs to us. Your land, your livestock. We went and we learned. We made friends. We planted seeds. And we went back home, or we melded into what was going on with those people at that time. So we are awesome people.
Yes, sir.
God made us first. I mean, wow. Why? Well, color. We are the only ones who could produce multiple colors. All colors ultimately end up black if you mix them all together. And he put something special in us. And those of us who study, those of us who read, those of us who speak, those of us who serve, understand this. To be a leader also is to understand that you must transcend being good as just functional and analytical or problem-solving tasks. It's important,
Yes.
but you have to go beyond that.
Yes, sir.
You must be able to build relationships that enable you to create a fabric of personal contacts that will provide you what? Support, feedback, insight, resources, and information.
Yes, sir.
That's called networking.
Yes, sir.
Leaders understand that the alternative to effective networking or relationship building skills is to fail. You simply will not reach a leadership position, or you will not succeed at leadership without effective relationship building skills and emotional intelligence.
Yes, sir.
Leaders have high emotional intelligence, are great networkers, and can work effectively with a diverse array of people. We must all become leaders.
Yes,
In
sir.
our own right. This is what leaders understand. It's really that, it's not complicated. It's really that simple. What am I really saying? I'm saying be the leader that you would follow.
Yes.
Who would you follow? Then be that person,
Right.
right? Be that person. Move away from toxicity and micromanagement,
Right.
right? Let people do what they do. Teach them and train them and let them do what they do.
Yes, sir.
A good leader inspires people to have confidence in the leader, but a great leader inspires people to have confidence in themselves.
Yes, sir.
That's what great leaders do. Great leaders go out of their way to boost the self-esteem of their people.
Yes, sir.
If people believe in themselves, it's amazing what they can accomplish.
Yes, sir.
Your job as a leader is to help people believe in themselves
Yes, sir.
and to boost their self-confidence. That's what great leaders do. And there are many, many ways of acting on and executing on that. In another sitting, we're going to do a networking masterclass.
Yes, sir.
I've done them all over the world. I love doing them. I love that people, that I know that people can only sit for so long, right? I love teaching this because I've spent 40 years of my life writing books on it, studying the philosophies, many philosophies, and acting on it, training in it. And I just love the look on people's faces when they are enlightened about it.
Yes, sir.
And I'm looking forward to having that moment, hopefully in 30 days or so, with your audiences to talk about why relationships are so important. You're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. the fastest way to change yourself is to hang out with people who are already where you want to be.
Yes, sir.
What am I saying? I'm saying don't spend major time with minor people. People going nowhere want you to go nowhere with them. People doing nothing want you to do nothing with them. If you want to change your life, change your relationships. If in fact, brothers and sisters, if you are not where you want to be in life, it's because you don't have the right people in your life.
Right.
It is actually your fault,
Yes, sir.
right? So if we want to think about business, business is about relationships.
Yes, sir.
Without relationships, you have no business. Without relationships, you have no business being in business. In fact, the business you're really in, my brothers and sisters, in case nobody has told you, I'm going to tell you, the business you're really in is the business of building relationships.
Right.
It's the business you're in. And so we really, really, really need to bone up on the things that will help us facilitate building a community of people around us who will serve us as we will serve them. This is what God has intended. We are a communal people. This is biblical. Dr. Fraser didn't make this up.
Right.
My favorite quote in the Bible is John 5:30. It's a direct quote from Jesus Christ. There are 800,000 words in the Bible. Only 1,200 of those words are direct quotes from Jesus Christ.
Yes, sir.
John 5:30. And Jesus said, I of my own self can do nothing.
Yes.
Now, this was Jesus, the Son of God. He couldn't get it done on his own by himself in a vacuum. So what's up with you? Why would you think you could do anything significant, anything we're talking about on your own by yourself in a vacuum? You cannot do it. I'm sorry. You were not designed that way. I spoke into you the difference in the thinking of African-centered and Eurocentric thinking. We are about interdependentness and connectedness.
Right.
When I come back, I'm going to attack this subject in the reverse. Having written 6 books on the subject, having been preaching and teaching this gospel for 40 years all over the world, I have observed some common threads among our people in terms of the mistakes that they make. There's 7 big mistakes. There are many more, but I've narrowed them down to 7. The 7 biggest mistakes that will ruin your reputation and destroy your business. We're going to look at that in an ascending order. We're going to start with 7 and we're going to work our way up to number 1. It's a life-changing kind of presentation.
Yes, sir.
It involves some philosophy. It involves some theology. And it involves some introspection. It will force you to think about yourself and your behavior. We will sandwich that with emotional intelligence and what that is and why that is so critically important. And the best example of the diametrically opposed opposites of good emotional intelligence, and said simply, emotional intelligence is the proper management of your 5 most important emotions, because we are programmed to react to things emotionally first.
Yes, sir.
Our first reaction tends to be, as the brain is designed that way, an emotional reaction.
Yes, sir.
The 5 most important emotions that you must learn to manage is happiness, sadness, anger, fear, and shame. Happiness, sadness, anger, fear, and shame.
Yes, sir.
The big one is anger.
Yes, sir.
And the best example happened on Sunday at the Academy Awards
Yes, sir.
of the difference between the two.
Yes, sir.
The reaction of Will Smith versus the reaction of Chris Rock.
Yes, sir.
Night and day.
Yes, sir.
Night and day. On the biggest night of his life, in front of the biggest audience that he has ever been in front of at a single time.
Yes, sir.
He failed to manage his emotions, which really disappointed me because I love Chris Rock. I mean, not Chris Rock, but Will Smith. I like Chris Rock too, but I really love Will Smith. For 30 years, he's just been an inspiration. I've never seen that kind of behavior in him. I mean, what a wonderful model he has been, not only with his craft, one of the best in the world at his craft, but he's all over social media with words of inspiration and philosophy and Confucius and Rumi and quoting this and speaking about love. We did not see that on Sunday night.
Yes, sir.
So he snapped. Something happened. It wasn't just about Jada's hair problem.
Right.
Something much deeper than that.
Yes.
But that's another story at another time. But that's the perfect example. You don't want to react the way he reacted. You want to react the way Chris Rock reacted.
Yes, sir.
I mean, under the most extraordinary circumstances, to comport yourself, to restrain yourself from a slap
Yes.
in the public arena,
Yes, sir.
in a global audience,
Yes, sir.
and not to impulsively react with anger.
Yes.
It's masterful. He ended up being the hero.
Yes, sir.
He did a comedy show 2 days ago,
Sold out.
and they gave him a 5-minute standing ovation.
Right.
So I'll close with this thought, and then we'll open it up for some questions. And I'm going to answer a question that I have to answer all the time. Dr. Fraser, what is the meaning of life?
Yes.
Life has no meaning. You have meaning, and you bring it to life.
Yes.
So it is crazy to ask the question when, in fact, my brothers and sisters, you are the answer. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Fire. Take your devices off of mute. I dare you to leave them on. Please show your appreciation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fraser.
Wonderful.
praises to Jesus. Thank you, sir. Thank you, brother. Excellent.
Thank you,
Dr.
brother.
Fraser.
So much.
Thank you.
Wow.
Minister
Thank you,
Orson.
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wonderful,
The time is
insightful.
Absolutely beautiful.
everybody.
Thank
Please
you so
remute.
much, Dr. Fraser.
So those of you who'd like to ask questions, this is my time. So apologies, sir. If you could take your hands down for a moment, this is my time. So
Okay.
Dr. Fraser, you
Love
gave us all a wonderful spiritual injection. And we appreciate the spiritual injection. Now, I listened to one of your talks and read in one of your writings, and I quote, "Where there is no obstacle, there is no way." Could you
Well, let me
flesh
unpack
that?
I am so glad you asked about that. Let me, no, that is my favorite quote, or it's related to my favorite quote outside of the Bible.
Yes, sir.
And I was really saving it for the end of the month, but you brought it up. Okay. And we'll do it again the end of the month because it will bear repeating. My favorite quote, I have two favorite quotes in the Bible. John 5:30, a good man leaves it, I of my own self can do nothing. And then the second is Proverbs 13:22, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Outside of the Bible, my favorite quote is a quote by Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was one of the 5 great Caesars and one of the co-founders of the Stoic philosophy. And it was Marcus Aurelius who said, the impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. I then said it differently. The obstacle is the way. Where there is no obstacle, there is no way. What is the first thing God does when he gives you an assignment that he feels that you're ready for? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under the obstacle, stumble, fall, learn the lessons, fail fast. And when you do, you get an attaboy and an attagirl from God. And then he gives you your next assignment at a slightly higher level. And then what does God do? He puts an obstacle in your way.
Right.
So that you can stumble, fall, learn lessons. Every problem has a purpose, except many people do not introspect and study and say, what am I learning from this?
Right.
We spoke earlier about this catastrophe that happened on Sunday night. And the first question I asked myself after just freaking out, what is God trying to teach us? What is the lesson here? For the world to see on a global stage and to see the extremes of poor emotional intelligence and how it can affect your life. So what am I saying? I'm saying obstacles and failure and problems are part of life. Welcome to life. This is how we learn and grow. I asked you a question earlier. What is the difference between smart and wise? Well, a smart person knows what they want, but a wise person knows what they don't want to avoid mistakes. How do you get this wisdom? Through trial and error, through mistakes. We are not perfect. But we must learn them. And we must learn from our failures and our mistakes. And I tell people, I have failed my way to success, but I have failed fast. And I've learned from every failure. And I applied it to help me get to the next step and the next level of where I want it to be. So thank you for that. You didn't ask me that long answer, but that's the answer to that. And thank you for that.
We thank you for that second spiritual injection. You are redefining the show, Dr. Fraser.
Thank you.
Another question I would like to ask you is how important, Dr. Fraser, is financial literacy in this time more so than ever before?
Oh, wow. That's a whole nother show.
Yes.
Okay, that's a whole nother show.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show. In America, the Wall Street Journal did a major article. And at the conclusion of the article, what they said in the Wall Street Journal, that financial illiteracy is an American problem. Now, here's what we know. When white folks catch a cold, Black people catch pneumonia.
Yes, sir.
So if financial illiteracy is an American problem,
yes,
it is 10 times the problem in the Black community.
Yes, sir.
We don't have long to fix this. There have been all kinds of studies. The Institute of Policy Studies, a renowned institution in Washington, D.C., did a major study in April of 2016 on the economic state of Black America. The conclusion of that study was this: By 2053, if nothing changes financially among African Americans, African American median household wealth will be zero. We will have no money. Try to operate in a market-based economy and a democratic capitalistic society without money. You are in effect in a second slavery. Now, they're not going to fix that for us. They're just going to warn us that we need to fix it.
Yes, sir.
All right. The goal for us from an economic standpoint is to win, not to look like we're winning.
Yes, sir.
Let me say that a different way. I would rather carry a plastic bag with $5,000 in it than to carry a $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag with $100 in it. You're not winning. Louis Vuitton is winning. Armani is winning. Gucci is winning. Nike is winning. We're not winning.
Right.
We have some very bad habits
Yes, we do.
that have evolved over the years, actually tens of years. We don't talk about money. We don't talk about money at home. We don't talk about money in our church, or mosques, or synagogue if you're a Black Jew. We don't talk about money in our schools.
Yes.
So we're financially illiterate. We don't talk about money. We need to fix that. We have also, and I hate saying this, but it's true, we are addicted to instant gratification versus delayed gratification. I just gave you an example of that.
Yes, sir.
The first step in overcoming any addiction is in Alcoholics Anonymous, the best 12-step program for overcoming addiction in the world. And you know what the first step is? In order to become sober, you must first admit that you're a drunk.
Yes, sir.
So the first step is to admit that we have a serious problem. Now, there are those in our culture that absolutely understand that, preach that gospel, teach financial education. I'm one of them, and there are many of them. So there are many of us who get that, but most of us don't.
Right.
So we're talking about most, not all.
Right.
And again, we have to fix this. No one is going to fix it. So it is one of the big, big existential issues of Black folk in this world at this time. There's much that can be done. It can be fixed. It is not hopeless. If we begin now, we can mitigate it to 2053 and we can fix it in 100 years. Because people ask me that all the time. How long will it take us to close the income and wealth gap between Blacks and whites? I didn't say Blacks and Hispanics. I didn't say Blacks and Asians, Black people and white people.
Yes, sir.
It will take 3 to 5 generations. There's nothing we've ever done that has not taken at least 100 years. Overcoming slavery took 250 years. Overcoming or securing civil rights, voting rights, public access took 100 years, 1864 to 1964. So why would we think we didn't get this way overnight? We're not going to solve it overnight.
Right.
All right. So it'll take leaders like you, the Minister Farrakhan's of the world, our spiritual leaders, the Black church,
Yes, sir.
the most important and powerful institution in the history and culture of Black people, certainly in this country. Every major thing, every good thing that has ever happened for us has come out of leadership from the Black church. So there's no way the Black church cannot be invested and involved in this.
Right.
All right. And so it's one of the reasons I started the WINS Wealth Building Centers and Curriculum, which is a financial education program. I'm looking for a document to show you. It's a financial education program that we in system. It's called WINS Wealth Building Centers and Curriculum. Here it is. Where is it? Nope, that ain't it. Here. That's the flyer, WINS Wealth Building Centers, right? And I wrote a little piece of poetry for it. And I said, why WINS? For it is the wind that makes us soar, and it is the winds that bring us change, right? So we developed our own culturally specific curriculum. We have our own 10 commitments to financial freedom. And we install these as a system. It is a system in the historically Black church. And it's free of charge to the congregation. The church pays a licensing fee, very modest licensing fee, for the use of the system. So we're doing very, very, very well in getting them installed. So we have to address this. We can fix this, and we just simply have to. We have to infect, affect, and effect what I consider to be a critical mass. And that critical mass could be somewhere between 3 to 5 million of the 46 million here and the 1.6 billion globally of people of African descent. And they will then, it will then go viral.
Yes.
All right. So glad you asked, but that's a huge topic. That's another topic that we can speak about on another day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Fraser. So I just wanted to, as we're about to conclude, because we're not going to go over our time, I just wanted to allow Vanessa and Dennis to ask your 2 short questions. So if you're still in the room, I will permit you at this time to ask these short questions. So Vanessa, you were first.
Yeah, someone asked, I'm looking at a thing, what was the third country that I would recommend?
Right. Let's start with that.
Okay. Ghana.
Ghana. Jeffrey?
Yeah. Ghana.
Oh, cousin Vanessa, we gotta go back to Ghana.
Ghana is hyper friendly. It's hyper friendly to us. They have offered an apology to Black people in America for their participation. It is a place where you can ultimately get dual citizenship. There's land opportunities. They're very, very, very friendly to those of us of all shades of African descent. Ghana would be the third place.
Fantastic. So that tees you up perfectly, Sister Vanessa.
It does. It does. Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Fraser. This has just been so enlightening. And I just want to say thank you so much. I was kind of looking into a little bit about your background while you were coming on to the call and saw that you worked with Mr. Les Brown, and I'm actually one of his students. So I feel a little bit closer to you.
Yeah, I've been knowing Les. Les and I have been friends for over 50 years.
Wow, that is amazing. I was one of the speakers at one of his summits recently. So yeah, just wanted to say thank you. My question is actually in regards to a similar situation to Will Smith and Chris Rock. I had an incident with a friend recently. After coming through a period of spiritual awakening, I had found a lot of peace and a lot of self-control. And then I went through COVID, and I felt like that process wiped my memory. And when I went through an experience with this friend, emotionally, I was not stable enough to be able to hold a conversation with her. Mm-hmm. And I believe that I've damaged the relationship at this point. And I'm wondering if you had the opportunity to kind of coach Will Smith on how to rectify his situation with Chris Rock, what would be those words of wisdom that you would give to him? Yeah. Well, as I was watching this, sitting next to my wife of 50 years, we watched the incident and we were horrified by it. My wife, in her infinite wisdom, looked at me and says, "Listen, darling, listen, don't you ever do that in the name of protecting me and embarrass our family and besmirch your reputation. Don't ever do that.
You have protected me pretty well for 50 years. That is unnecessary. Don't ever do that. It's wrong. Violence is never the answer. Violence is not the answer. I am a nonviolent person. Dr. King was nonviolent. Mahatma Gandhi was nonviolent. Many nonviolent. I don't believe that's how we solve the problem. Now, I was trying to coach Will while I was watching the television. Right, I was praying to God because he had about 25 to 30 minutes before he got up to get his Academy Award. And I was praying to God. I was talking to Gene, and I said, I hope that his handlers or his close friends around him are coaching him on what to do next. Because it was a simple answer that would have pretty much put the whole thing to bed. When he got up for his acceptance award, call up Chris Rock, apologize to him sincerely. And he's an actor, so he could probably pull that off. Apologize to him sincerely and hug him. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to hug you right back. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to get a standing ovation. He apologized to everybody but Chris Rock. The absolute wrong thing to do. Absolute wrong thing. He was still not in control of his emotions. If I was him, because they're such high profile public figures and loved, really, I would submit to a sit down, me and Chris, with Oprah. Right? Oprah has a special way. There'd be 10 million people watching. It would be a love fest. They would express how they felt. That's what I would recommend, because it was so public, right? But and seen by millions. And millions were hurt by it. No one wanted to see that. There was nothing good about that. That really, in a way, that would be helping us to heal from that, because that impacted us all. That's what if I could wave a magic wand, that would be my suggestion. I would add to that. I would call Chris personally, apologize again, or if he's getting ready to do a comedy tour. You know, he's getting ready to do a comedy tour. He did the first stop on that tour 2 nights ago, where he got a 5-minute standing ovation. You know what I would do? I show up front row to the tour. I'd let him know I'm gonna be there. And it would be a love fest between me and Chris Rock. I would be a man about it. Right. And I don't, this is my opinion. I don't care what you say. Certainly we protect our women. Certainly we protect our women. But not that way. Not that way. We don't want to model that kind of behavior for our children. Do you know how long this is going to last? It's going to last for decades. That incident, those words are going to be shown over and over and over and over until he's gone. And when he's gone, God forbid, it will be mentioned after they say Academy Award winning actor who slapped. I mean, it's never going to go away. So he has to mount an offensive to continue his healing and Chris's healing and our healing, because we love him. And that wasn't him. I don't know who showed up that night, but I refuse to believe it was Will Smith. Wasn't 30 years of following him and then meeting him, and watching all of his social media stuff which was always fabulous. That wasn't the Chris Rock I've known for 30 years. So it was a mistake. Lord knows you don't ever want to make a mistake like that big. I mean, we were all gonna make mistakes, but not on a globe, not on your night, the biggest night of your life, on the biggest stage in that craft. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it then. That requires control. And he was out of control.
Fantastic.
That's how I see it. And it was wrong. Now Dr. Boyce Watkins took a poll, by the way, of Black people. Oh, how many people think Chris Rock, not Chris Rock, but Will Smith was right or wrong? 66% said he was wrong. I'm in that 66%. And the rest of the folks, that's a pretty large shot, said that he was right. To slap the shit out of him to protect his wife. Now, by the way, I don't know if you know the history of slapping at Black people.
Right.
That is the most egregious thing you can do to a Black person. That comes from masters. That comes from our slave masters. Instead of punching you so that you couldn't do the work, they would slap the shit out of you, right? And that's where the sentence came that we've heard so often, I'm going to slap the shit out of you. It was to demean you and to belittle you and to degrade you.
Right. And the French, Dr. Fraser, they slap with the backhand with the glove.
That's right. That's right. And by the way, when that happens, when you and I talked about that, when that happens in France with the glove, oh, that's a duel. Somebody's going to die.
Right. Right.
Somebody's going to die.
Right.
And had it been Suge Knight, right, 250 pounds and 6'3", it would, first of all, it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
But had he been crazy enough to do that to a Suge Knight or Earthquake, one of the large comedians, in right, that'd have been a brawl.
Right.
Somebody might have died, and then that's a whole nother thing.
Right.
At least one person was in their right mind.
Right. And the question that we discussed also, and Dr. Fraser, was if he was a Caucasian comic, would have done that if it was a Caucasian saying that about
he did it with Chris because Chris is weak. Weighs 140 pounds, about 5'7", right? That was a power play. And Chris has no power over him. But had that been a Hollywood mogul or a Hollywood heavyweight with power, no.
Laugh it off.
No.
Right. Right.
Wouldn't happen that way.
Right.
And if by some crazy incident that it did, it'd have been over.
Right.
That would be the end of his career.
Right. Totally. Mm-hmm. And he'd be in jail.
They would press charges.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful thing Chris did. I mean, he didn't press any charges. He didn't sue him, right? I mean, that's the epitome of emotional intelligence and managing your emotions and just say, we're going to live to fight another day and then let me process this, and right? So, so that's why he ended up the hero. So that's God giving the world a lesson. Do you want Will or do you want Chris?
Right.
Right. Now we've all gotten angry. We've all snapped.
Absolutely.
Right. And you know the old saying, and you always regret what you said in a fit of anger. You always regret it. Right. And I've gotten angry. I mean, I've been married 50 years, and yes, I've gotten angry at my wife and said something like really stupid and regretted it. So that's how I see it. Now, there are people who disagree. It was for the honor of Jada. But I don't even want to tell you what I think about Jada and her red table talks and their open marriage and her saying on national social media that Will can't satisfy me sexually, and if he loved me, he would understand that. I can't understand that Jada not grabbing Will. Now, maybe he just surprised her, but I think a good woman, understanding that her man is in heat here, he's not, he's angry. Grab him, cool him down. There's something about your woman's words that will calm you down.
Yes, they will.
They'll calm you down. She made no effort of that. She did not protect him from him. And this whole thing, if you're on well, I think he's right about protecting her. Well, she damn sure didn't protect him. Yes, Chris probably should have been aware she had the problem with her hair, but that was not the intention of the joke. If you saw the joke, the joke simply said, "Jada, I love you."
That's right.
I love you, Jada. G.I. Jane, can't wait to see it. Now, do you know anything about G.I. Jane? It is a movie, of course. This white girl, what's her name again? What's her name? Who shaved her head and joined the Marines to see if she could qualify to get in. She looked gorgeous, by the way. This was Bruce Willis's ex-wife.
Demi Moore.
Right.
Demi Moore.
Right, there you go. She looked gorgeous. Gave a hell of a performance, right? And achieved her goal as a woman in the Marines. That's what the joke was about. He didn't even know she had a hair problem. Right? That's what the joke was about. Now, in the fit of the moment, the heat of the moment, you could start thinking all kinds of things. But that was not his intent. He did not do that with malice. But that's how I see it. People see it however they want to see it. Right? So if you want to extend it to the furthest you can extend it, yes, you can say that Chris just never should have even joked with.
Right.
Period. Right? Because he wasn't happy about the last show. He did on her when they boycotted the Oscars a couple of years ago, and he was host. Right. He made a joke about that, and she didn't appreciate it.
Right. So there's history there.
Right. So there was still some bad blood from that.
Right.
He had not blessed and released that.
Yes.
Right. So let me. People ask me all the time, Dr. Fraser, what is the secret to staying married to the same sister for 50 years? You know what my answer is? It's real simple. Amnesia. That Nora Jean's going to do some stupid shit in her life. And I'm going to do some stupid shit. Okay, it's going to happen. In 50 years, it's going to happen. So when we do our stupid shit, we discuss it.
Right.
We reach middle ground, and we never bring it up again in life.
Right.
That's how you stay married for 50 years.
Excellent advice. That's another spiritual injection for all of us.
Right. So she was carrying that baggage from 2-3 years ago.
Right.
And then, of course, just the slightest little spark from Chris, you saw what happened.
Yeah. Fantastic. So, Vanessa, you got more than what you bargained for where that question was concerned. So we thank you for that answer.
Let me tell everybody about the Power Networking Conference coming up August the 8th through the 6th in the United States in Houston, Texas.
Go ahead, Doc.
You got to be there. It's a global conference. It's our 21st conference. Forbes magazine named us one of the top 5 conferences in America not to be missed. Not one of the top 5 Black conferences, but one of the top 5 of all the conferences in America. It is a place where you make connections,
Yes.
where you meet people that can change your life. It's the place where we only talk about 3 things for 4 freaking days.
Yes.
Business, money, and wellness, psychological wellness and physical wellness, because they're connected, that we're out of our freaking minds.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So we have to heal. So we have to
Yes,
talk
sir.
about it. But we talk about money and business. That's what we talk about
Yeah.
for 4 days, 12 hours a day. So I'm gonna make you a special offer. You still got 4 months or so before it happens. I'm gonna make you an offer. If you go to the powernetworkingconference.com website, powernetworkingconference.com website, you'll see that one adult registration is $1,500. We want you to bring a young person, 17 to 25, college age. One student registration is $800. That's $2,300. I'm going to take $1,700 off of that and give you both, one student and one adult, for $599. $599 from $2,300 to $599.
Spiritual injection prices, brothers and sisters.
Come on now.
Right.
These are spiritual injection prices.
Right.
Come on, Doc.
So as we wrap up, we just want to thank you, Dr. Fraser. Well, not just want to thank you, we want to thank you because I've certainly fallen deeper in love with you. I don't know how much love you can handle, Dr. Fraser. But
All the love you can give. All the love, right? I want to be loved today, and then tomorrow when I wake up, I'm gonna need some more love. Okay?
yes,
So, and then the next day, some more love. That's what it is. That's what we all love.
You have invoked so much love on this platform this evening, and we appreciate you. We thank God for you, and it has been truly a delight to share time and space and energy with you, and to be so positively affected by you and your wealth of experience that you have deposited within our hearts and minds this evening. We are eternally grateful, and we look forward and we thank you for making yourself available to do a masterclass on behalf of Spiritual Injection. Are there any closing remarks you would like to share with us, Dr. Fraser, before we conclude proceedings this evening?
Just a little piece of advice. Black people must have range. I'm in my office. This is my office in an office building. It's not my home.
Yes, sir.
There's 2,500 books in my office.
Yes, sir.
There's 15,000 books in my home. I read because it gives us and gives me range, that we must be an inch wide and a mile deep in our subject matter expertise. And then we must be a mile wide and an inch deep in matters of the world, so that we can talk about something other than the Real Housewives of Atlanta, sports, and the weather.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
we're much brighter than that. So we must have range, because specialization is for insects.
Yes. Love it. Brothers and sisters, take your device off mute and show your love for Dr. Fraser. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you
Fraser.
so much.
We are
Put my email address in the chat.
Absolutely.
Someone wanted that.
Sylvina.
And then But I don't know if you plan on posting this up, but share it.
Yeah.
And if you go put it on YouTube, put it on YouTube, share it.
Yeah.
Right? That's what God wants us to do.
Brothers and sisters, what a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
What a
Thank you.
wonderful evening.
Exactly.
To all of you who distributed tickets and sent forth the opportunity for those who have bought tickets to be on the platform. As we stated, we have arranged with Dr. Fraser to tailor-make a very special masterclass for us to help each and every one of us who have small businesses, those of us desirous of going into business, those of us who already have a passive income coming in. He will show us through network marketing how to leverage up our passive income and turn it into a full-time opportunity. We're looking forward to having him to ourselves, those of us who would dedicate our time to such an important discussion. Next week, we're going to be starting on a new theme, and the theme is entitled Passive Income. So the next 4 weeks, we will be discussing various opportunities that we can get involved in and start to build passive income, an income besides the one we currently have, something that will pay us whilst we're sleeping. We will start to discuss this next week, Thursday. So as you know, in Spiritual Injection, we always deliver. We never shortchange anybody who comes this way. We always give you a bonus.